here with us today. This is our second online session on our MOOC. I'm Mariam, and I have a few of my colleagues here, the facilitators of our MOOC, who will introduce themselves in a second. Or maybe I'll give the floor to you to introduce yourself, and then I will talk about the agenda for today.
I'm Danielle Verstegen, but I've already introduced myself in the previous session. I've been involved in this in the previous MOOC as well, and I'm very happy to work with you again.
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Jimmy Freyaja. I am a researcher at the School of Health Professions Education at Maastricht University, where my activities mainly focus on instructional design and research on instructional design. And this year I'm also a part of the team that runs this MOOC, so I'm very excited to get started this week.
Hello, my name is Herco Fontein. I'm an associate professor at the Faculty of Psychology and Neuroscience. And this is my second run in the MOOC, and I look forward to all the interaction we're about to see unfolding in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Now, I'd like to do a little screen sharing with you and show you the different things that we're expecting you to do for the first week. Okay, firstly, when you go to this page, you see a starting up, finding a team. Please click on that. When you come here, there is a video which really shows you how to go on different pages and what to do. I really recommend that you watch this video carefully and take the steps. And here is the team area where you have to go and join a team. I will have my colleagues explain to you more about how this team thing works. And also there are descriptions here about finding and forming a team and joining it, and also filling out the team charter. Now my colleagues will start with how each of these sections are done. Jimmy, would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure. Firstly, I'm happy to see that at this moment we have more than 750 enrolled students from all over the world. And when you take a look at the discussion forums where you can introduce yourself, I see people from Brazil, from Malaysia, from Mexico, but also from Europe, from Denmark, Austria, the UK, but also from the Netherlands. And it's very good to see such an international group of participants in this MOOC. If you have not done so, if you're watching this and you haven't introduced yourself yet in the discussion forums, please head over there and introduce yourself so we can see where you are from. Secondly, indeed, as Mariam said, in this MOOC you will be working in a team. And at this point, there are still a lot of people who have not yet joined the team. So if you're watching this and you have not yet joined the team, please head over to week 1, the thing Mariam just showed you, where there are instructions on the team formation, so you can join an existing team or you can create a new team. There are quite some teams that still only have a few members, so see if you can choose from those teams you want to join. And if you need any help joining teams or creating your own team, carefully read the instructions in week 1, or otherwise head over to the discussion forums where we can help you join and find your teams. A final remark from me is that there are now some teams who have a lot of members, actually more than 20 in some cases, and we advise you to keep group sizes around 15 to maximum of 20 members. More than that will probably complicate the way you collaborate. So if you are a team leader at this point and you have teams with more than 20 members, consider stopping accepting new members. And if you are in a large team, consider moving to a smaller team to more evenly distribute the group sizes. If you are in a very small team, see if you can get more people to join your team, and otherwise maybe think about merging with another small team. So the teams are approximately same sizes. So that were my remarks, and maybe Herco can talk a little bit about how to work in the teams.
Yes, well, working in teams isn't easy if you do that in meet space, face to face. It's even more difficult when you do it in culturally diverse teams that are geographically dispersed, that have to work together across regions where well, sometimes you have time differences of up to 5 hours. So in the regular life cycle of a team, there are these phases: forming, norming, performing, adjourning. That's a classic model that says basically the first period is dedicated to getting to know one another. And then you're going to look into how are we going to work together? What are our expectations? What are the norms that we're going to try to adhere to? And then you're actually going to do the work. And at some point, you cease being a team. And all this will happen in about 6 weeks. That's the 6 to 7 weeks. That's the duration of this MOOC. So we have to kind of hit the ground running, and in this first week, it's really important that you get to know the people who are in your team. What do they expect from working in this MOOC? What about their availability? Many of you have busy jobs, and maybe at some point you're not as available as you'd like to be, and then it's important that other people know about this. What are your preferred work styles? Do you want to work in the mornings or in the evenings? What are your strengths and weaknesses? Maybe you're, like me, a procrastinator. I like to put off things to the last moment. Well, it's good that other people in my team know that, and that I usually deliver just before the deadline. These kinds of things, they're important to share because it'll make your team perform probably better. And that is why we're asking you to fill out a team charter. Also because research has shown that teams that pay attention to this upfront, pay attention to things like what are our strengths and weaknesses, how are we going to plan execution of different parts of the task. Teams that work on these issues and on expectations do better than teams that don't. So all this upfront planning is the reason why you're asked to send in a team charter and to think about division of roles. If you look at the team charter document, we suggest 4 different roles. A process manager, someone who's kind of setting the pace of the group work, setting the agenda. If you decide to have synchronous meetings, for instance, a Skype session, then the process manager makes sure that everyone knows when it will be. Well, the process manager, you typically have 1 process manager per week. And then the other group members can, for instance, be searchers. So once you have decided on learning goals, so questions that you as a team will look answers for which you're going to look answers, the searchers will go out and look at the reading materials that we suggest, but beyond that, look on internet, for instance, and they can bring this material into the group space. If everyone does that, of course, then you get a very long list of unrelated material. So therefore, you need a summarizer who kinds of notes what are the main points in all these fragments, keeps track of the relations between ideas and the relations with the learning goals that you're going to set. And then we suggest you have a reporter, someone who at a slight distance looks at everything that's happening and asks critical questions, and who promotes that everyone stays involved and responds to what everyone else is doing. The reporter can also finalize the assignment and send it in, and could also report on group work on the general plenary group discussion fora. And of course, you're free to pick another division. You might combine process manager and a reporter, or someone who is a summarizer could also be a searcher. as long as you're discussing this with your other group members and you settle on something that works for you, then I hope you'll be better prepared for what's ahead of us. And probably things will not work out the way you've planned them, but this will be a good start. And if you keep an eye on what you've agreed on and adapt it as you go along, then I think you'll have a better chance of succeeding in this MOOC.
Okay, thank you, Herco and Jimmy. Now, Danielle, can I please ask you to explain a little about the groups that already have a tutor and a little about the research that is happening?
Yes, with pleasure. First of all, I should maybe explain that for us, this MOOC is also something quite new, that it's in some ways very different from PBL that we do in face-to-face settings, and we're very interested in seeing what happens and to do a little bit of research on the extent that it's possible to do problem-based learning online with or without a tutor. We know from the first run of the MOOC, for example, that there are many different ways in which teams can function well in this PBL MOOC, but that it's really important to discuss how you want to work as a team, and that it's really important to accept that not everybody can be equally available or have the equal amount of input at all moments during the MOOC. This MOOC, we have a different focus. For research purposes, we have a few groups that have a tutor. These groups by now have been completely filled, and we're going to observe what happens in those few tutor groups, and we're also going to approach some of the untutored groups and ask you whether it's okay for us to observe what you do in your team space. The important thing is that if you receive that message, it's free for you to accept or not accept this. And if you feel uncomfortable or would not like to accept, it has no consequences whatsoever for you to participate in this MOOC. But some of you might receive a message of one of our research team observers with the question that we would like to observe how your team works. That's it, I think, Mariam.
Okay, thank you very much, Herco, Jimmy, and Danielle. Today's session has come to an end. If you have any questions, feel free to email us. But we would suggest that you first try finding answers to your questions through your peers. If not, we're always happy to help. The time for the next Google Hangout sessions will be announced. Well, the time has already been announced, but we're sorry about the problem that existed with the second Google Hangout, and we had to change that time. The other Hangout sessions will go on time as announced on the Google page. If anybody else of the facilitators has something to say, now is the time. Otherwise, we want to end this session. No? Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Bye.